Hi, I'm Uriah.
I'm Alea.
I'm Jasmine, and we're going to be talking about The Tragedy of Romeo and Juliet by William Shakespeare.
Romeo, a young Montague, and Juliet, a 13-year-old Capulet, fall in love at first sight, but their feuding families keep them at a distance. Before they meet, Romeo was in a relationship with Rosalind, a woman from Verona, even though there was no true connection. Juliet was being forced into marriage with Paris of Verona, but had an undying love for a man that her family despised. Their love is tested when Romeo was banned from the city, and eventually being the cause for these two star-crossed lovers dying for each other. The author William Shakespeare is considered the most famous writer in the world, although none of his work was published during his lifetime. Shakespeare was born on April 23, 1564, in Stratford, London. Shakespeare was the third of 8 children. He attended grammar school where he studied Latin grammar, Latin literature, and rhetoric. By 1592, Shakespeare had become an actor and playwright. With having written 37 plays, he sadly died on his birthday 52 years later.
So after finishing the book, I had asked myself, why is Romeo and Juliet one of the most widely read books of our time, of Shakespeare's time, like over the course of hundreds of years? And I think the answer is because it's a way for people to understand love. And Shakespeare had really emphasized the idea of love being something very crucial and very heart-melting and just a very emotional experience. And the fact that people can get a glimpse of how it actually is in a book kind of gives them that closure to understand or feel or believe that one day their love will come. And so it kind of gives them maybe optimism. But he uses very descriptive and detailed words and passages to kind of give off that idea that love is something very sacred and something very delicate to deal with, while also being complicated. And we are also in the 1300s in the book. So the idea of love back then is very different from the idea of love right now. And back then, love was kind of put off and wasn't really emphasized or thought of as a deep connection or emotional relationship with somebody. But now that Shakespeare is kind of changing the idea of love, it kind of shifts the mindset of his audience. And so now it kind of grabs their attention to think, wow, like maybe I am missing out on something. And he kind of persuades them to think about how love has an everlasting effect on people. And they come in all forms and all different types of ways. And so
in Shakespeare's amazing work of The Tragedy of Romeo and Juliet, the audience automatically picks up rhetoric and literary devices through all the acts and all the scenes. Specifically, I've seen a lot of figurative language, imagery, and tone. Now, the effect of literary devices and rhetoric devices as a whole on the work just adds so much more power. It separates just plain work from absolutely amazing work. And that's what Shakespeare utilizes to make his work be some of the greatest work that our world has ever seen. Through the use of figurative language, Shakespeare emphasizes his point And the effect of it is the audience understands his point way easier. They're able to decode his words through metaphors and similes and personification and other big figurative language ideas. Specifically in the play, in Act 2, Scene 2, my bounty is as boundless as the sea, my love as deep. The more I give to thee, the more I have, for both are infinite. Honestly, straight off the bat, you just see that first simile. My bounty is as boundless as the sea. Then the second one, my love as deep. Like, honestly, you can tell how passionate Romeo is. You can tell how deep the connection and the love is. Shakespeare uses imagery to give the audience a picture of the important scenes and a strong visualization of what's going on rather than just reading it and hearing it. A visual representation is way more powerful than just reading words off a paper or even listening to them. The effect of imagery is the audience just understands the dramaticness. Like, honestly, the tragedy of Romeo and Juliet, straight off the title, you can tell that this is finna be something deep. This is finna show love, affection, attraction, differences between two totally different people from two totally different worlds. So being able to read the words and then close your eyes and visualize Romeo kissing Juliet for the first time, or them making love for the first time, being able to visualize that leaves such a strong effect on the audience to make them continue to want to read or continue to want to be a part of the play with the author. Specifically, in Act 1, Scene 1, love is a smoke made with the fume of sighs being purged, a fire sparkling in my lover's eyes. Honestly, when I hear that, I just immediately vision Romeo looking deeply into Juliet's big, pretty eyes and seeing stars and pure and genuine love. Like, I can envision that through Shakespeare's imagery. Shakespeare uses tone to appeal to the audience's emotion, and using words like love and deep and anything that connects directly to the author with the characters immediately draws the audience in emotionally. The effect is the audience can fully understand how Shakespeare feels about the subject, which changes throughout the play, but is mainly Romeo and Juliet's love for each other. Specifically, in Act 1, Scene 5, my only love sprung from my only hate, too early seen, unknown, and known too late. Prodigious birth of love it is to me, that I must love a loathed enemy. Honestly, the tone words used in there are so strong. Loathe, prodigious, hate, but then love. Through loathe and love, you can see how the author throws you for a loop. How even though Romeo and Juliet are from two completely different sides of the track, they still find each other. They don't let their differences set that barrier between them. They actually break the barrier with love. Like, that's just so deep. Like, it's amazing to me to hear that and to be a part of that with the author. Even though this play has its absolutely amazing moments, I found 3 passages that I felt really stuck out to me and should really stand out to the audience as a whole. Oh, heavy lightness, serious vanity, mishap and chaos of well-seeming forms, feather of lead, bright smoke, cold fire, sick health, still waiting sleep. That is not what it is. This love I feel, that feel no love in this. Honestly, immediately, I'm like, what am I reading? This doesn't even make any sense. But through the imagery, tone, figurative language, and even the translation, I immediately see how Shakespeare shakes things up. He makes us see, like, love is not all it seems. Love is not just rainbow, glitter, and butterflies. It's way more to it. The translation states, love is heavy and light, bright and dark, hot and cold, sick and healthy, asleep and awake. It's everything except what it is. I feel like when people hear love, they automatically see, oh my gosh, two people flawless, perfect. Love is everything but perfect. Love is the hard times, the unhealthiness, the cold nights, the hard nights, the tears, the fighting. Love is way more than, love is the complete opposite of easy. If the love is easy, then the love is not real. Real love takes passion, takes drive, takes determination, takes dedication. It takes more than just, oh, I'm in love. It takes more than just the words. Love is anything but words. It's so much more to it. And I felt like this passage is very important to the work as a whole, because Romeo finds words and metaphors to express the crazy way love is not only in Verona but everywhere, and how he feels that quote unquote love is everything except love. I mean, I hope that makes sense, but honestly, there's no easy way to put it, because love is not an easy thing to fulfill, to describe, to even do. Love is not easy in no way. The second passage that I found that really stuck out to me states, did my heart love till now? Forswear its sight, for I never saw true beauty till this night. Honestly, that was one of the best scenes of the book, because of the play, because like Romeo was so passionate about Juliet. And it's hard to hear that come out of a man's mouth. Men are foreseen as these strong people who have no emotion. So for him to come out the gate and say he's never seen true beauty until he saw her, like, honestly, it just warms my heart. And that passage in specifically was very important to the work as a whole, because it just expresses true love. And even though Romeo and Juliet had not really met each other before this night, and not really had a chance to see each other in a different way, he still saw absolute beauty in her. Not in her clothes or in her, or with them having sex. It was just pure, genuine beauty in a female. Like that's rare. And I just thought that was amazing. The last passage that I felt really should be taken from this play states, it is the east and Juliet is the sun. While that seems so minor, like, yeah, that's cool, but it's nothing major, that just said in those few words how after seeing Juliet, when Romeo looks east, where the sun would usually be, he sees his newfound love. He sees Juliet, which shows that she exemplifies traits of the sun. She exemplifies energy, light, health, and everything good on this earth. And if that's not pure and utter love, then I don't know what is.
In the book, Romeo is perceived as a passionate, handsome, and determined young man. He does not like how his family and the Capulet family have this ongoing feud. When Romeo began to fall for Juliet, he knew there was going to be a barrier between them. Even though he knew this, he was still determined to being with her. Romeo was willing to do anything to marry the love of his life. He fell in love with Juliet when he first saw her at a masquerade party. He knew it was a risk, but he was willing to take it. Juliet is an independent, beautiful, and strong young lady. Juliet's parents want her to marry Paris, but she is not interested. She takes it into consideration to make her parents happy, but she knows he's not for her. At a masquerade party, she meets Romeo and has an instant connection. Throughout the book, Romeo does certain things that cause Juliet to have to question if she loves him enough to keep going on with their relationship. For instance, when Romeo kills Tybalt in a sword fight and is banished from the city, Juliet must realize how important their relationship is to her. She realizes his importance and decides to cut all ties to her family and anything involved to be with Romeo. Friar Lawrence is one of the key people that was involved in their relationship. Friar Lawrence was important in religion as a Catholic friar. He married the two star-crossed lovers with an intention on ending the ongoing dispute of the two families. Friar Lawrence goes through much trouble to keep these two lovers together by even faking Juliet's death to reunite them, but it took a wrong turn. When Romeo heard about her death, his undying love caused him to commit suicide. The lover's death was the factor that ended the dispute and united the families. Another key person involved with their relationship was the nurse. She was like Juliet's second mom. She had a tight relationship with Juliet because of the daughter she had, who was the same age. The nurse was always the one to lighten up the mood and make jokes even though some didn't go as planned. She was the one that Juliet went to because she genuinely wanted to see her happy. She was like Juliet's ride or die, and Juliet's death took her by surprise. Mercutio was a minor part of the lovers' relationship. Mercutio was a fashionable, strange, and a jokester. He was constantly talking about Romeo and how he always does what he is told. He was not really into the whole romance thing like Romeo because he felt that people become blind when they fall in love. Mercutio gets himself into trouble when he mocks Tybalt on his arrogance. When Mercutio encounters Tybalt, their disputes turn into a sword fight which bring Tybalt to killing Mercutio. Tybalt was known for being violent and having hatred for Montagues. The death of Mercutio causes Romeo to seek revenge on him. When Tybalt returns, Romeo draws his sword, leading to a sword fight in which Romeo killed Tybalt, causing him to be banished. Throughout the book, Shakespeare used style and strategies to help with the message of the book. He used symbols to relate to this time period and foreshadow events in the book. Shakespeare uses thumb biting to represent a derogatory gesture used in this time. Swords were their way of committing violent acts throughout the book. Potions and poisons represent what humans can create to help or hurt someone. Shakespeare also used metaphors to add detail to the book. I quote, "My lips, two blushing pilgrims ready stand, to smooth that rough touch with a tender kiss." Romeo describes his lips as blushing pilgrims to show that his lips are smooth. This book made me think about life and how love can make you do some crazy things. Juliet left everything she ever knew, and Romeo risked his life every time he came in contact with her. Their love was so deep they would do anything to keep them together.
In conclusion, I believe that the theme or moral or message of Romeo and Juliet was that love overpowers hate. Because, well, in the beginning, the audience was kind of told that the Montagues and Capulets were rivaling families, and they kind of despise each other. Like, they didn't really approve of each other's actions or anything. But Romeo and Juliet still found a way to stay connected and kind of connect the two kingdoms together. Although their families did not approve, their love still was stronger than the hate of the families, which allowed them to continue to feel the way they felt for each other. And as long as the feud has been going on, do you think that the Romeo and Juliet would choose their own families over a complete rival or a complete stranger? But that's not the case in this book. They actually choose each other over their families. And it's just very surprising how quickly somebody can choose years and years of loyalty over a person that just showed up in one day. And I think Shakespeare's trying to show that love is never ending, and it's something that can't really be stopped or held back without being hurt or any other type of thing coming in their way. But Shakespeare gets his point across by using he uses figurative language, tone, and imagery most, and his tone is more of like a compassionate or affectionate tone, with being every time he talks about Juliet, or every time Romeo talks or speaks about Juliet, he refers to things that enlighten her personality or make her seem very kind and generous and heartwarming. And he uses a lot of metaphors to kind of get his point across and to give the audience a better understanding. And